Okay. Test, test. Okay, I think I am online. Maybe anyone can confirm you can hear and see everything correctly. I think everything is fine. I'm not sure about the quality. Um, I see Alan. Hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Alan. Okay, here we are. Finally, as I told you last time, I mean this is the second live stream, but it's basically live stream number one because the first one was really a test. I'm not very. I mean, I don't know very well the YouTube live streaming word. So I understood just recently that I couldn't share my screen using just the YouTube software. I need to use an external software or hardware encoder, and so I'm using. I mean, the very first advice that YouTube gave me, that is restream.io. So hopefully is working correctly because I want to share my screen and my webcam and microphone as well. I see the title is now multi streaming with restream.io, which was not the title I wanted to give. Probably it was overwritten by the software. I mean, hopefully this is not a problem. Okay. Thank you again, Alan. So again, the idea for today was to discuss about the roadmap to DaDaBIK 12. I started to work a little bit to this version. I already have a name for this version. As you know, for starting from DaDaBIK 8, we had a name for any measure release. So we had Lerici, and then Monterosso, and then Manarola, and then Elba, DaDaBIK 11 Elba. I already have a name for DaDaBIK 12, but I will reveal the name when the version will be out. And yes, I would like to go through the feature suggestions forum to discuss some of the features I would like to implement, also according to the votes they received, or they are receiving, they will receive in this forum. So let me go here. So feature suggestions forum. I will maybe I can zoom in like this. Probably you can see better. Okay, and I will sort by popularity. Let me check if everything is working correctly here. I see there is some latency. Okay. Now you see my screen correctly updated. So first of all, how this forum works? How does this forum work? This is basically, well, DaDaBIK has been since its very beginning very community driven. When it's when we have to decide which features to implement. So a lot of the features that have been implemented during all these years came from this forum, the Feature Suggestions Forum. I would say at least half of all the new features implemented started from some ideas here. Then, of course, there are other features that I just decide to implement because I think it's the right thing to do. But most of them are here before becoming official. Some features are also sponsored. So I don't know how many during these years, but I would say around 10 quite big features have been sponsored by customers who wanted to have that feature implemented because they needed that feature in their applications. So typically, if it's a feature that I think it would be very useful for the whole community, but I don't have enough resources, or it's not so popular here. I I code the feature for the customer, typically charging a price that is less than the price I would charge normally, because then that feature becomes in maybe 1 month or 2 months become part of the official DaDaBIK package, and everybody can use it. So one thing I want to clarify is so now I'm sorting by popularity, and I see, for example, that the most popular feature now is this one, many-to-many relationship. Um, One thing that I'm not sure is completely clear is the fact that, well, now I'm not logged in, so, well, I cannot like and vote for features. But anyway, for each post, you can both like the post or vote the post. Okay. Uh, you can like a post, but liking a post is just saying, okay, I like this post or this comment. But if you really want to express your preference for the fact that you would like to see that feature implemented, you have to vote for the post. So you have to click here. Okay. So vote versus like. And this is really the only place that I use to collect your ideas. For sometimes we have used Canny. I don't know if you remember. It was an external service used just for feature suggestions. It was a very good service, but when we changed the forum with this new forum that allowed to do also this upvote kind of upvote style posts, then I decided to move everything here because I prefer not to use external services. Okay, so this is the only place you should use to suggest features. I mean, you can send an email, but then please add your suggestion here. And before, you should search if the suggestion is already there. In that case, you just have to vote for the suggestion. So before going through the all these suggestions, there is one thing that I really would like to improve in DaDaBIK 12, and is the user interface. Let me drink some water. The user interface. So very often, if I ask some external person to give me an opinion about DaDaBIK, very rarely people complain about features, like lack of features. And I really think that right now DaDaBIK has a very huge set of feature, and you can really, if you go deep into the documentation, you can really create any kind of data-driven applications. However, often they complain about the interface. So they say that the interface looks a bit old, basically. That's the comment that sometimes I receive. And I really would like to fix that, but I'm still not sure how. Uh, I mean, there are two big parts in DaDaBIK. One part is the front end of the application you create. The other part is the admin application. The admin section. The front end of the application, I mean, the interface is not super modern, but I think it's fine. It doesn't look old. It doesn't look very old. And also, I've seen many applications like internal tools built using DaDaBIK in companies, organizations, and I see that if you really want to change the user interface and you know some CSS, you can really transform the interface and you can make it look exactly what you want. So that's one thing. The other thing about the front end of the application, another thing I noticed with internal tools is that very often in companies, even big companies, I mean, the only things users really care about is the ability to do things in a short time. Uh, I mean, at least in my experience, they don't really expect fancy layout, fancy user interface. Sometimes, especially in big and old corporates, there are softwares that very very old, so they are used to interfaces that are really really old school, and that's why for me it's not a big priority. However, I think that when someone look at DaDaBIK, I mean, before becoming a DaDaBIK user, uh, one comment could be that one, like the idea of an interface that is not very modern. But again, two section. The front end that, in my opinion, doesn't look very old. Actually, uh, it's fine. And the admin section. The admin section, looks. I mean, there are pages that I don't enjoy to use. Let's say when I'm using DaDaBIK as a final user. I mean, as a developers of DaDaBIK applications. Okay, so I think I would really need to work on that. Still not sure how. I mean, refreshing the user interface just by fixing things here and there is one approach, but it's not very radical. So maybe you don't see a big difference. Rebuilding the interface from scratch requires a lot of time. So I'm not sure. I'm really open to suggestions. Um, if you have any specific suggestions, any feelings you want to express, please do it here. I mean, right now on the chat, or you can send me an email and sharing your thoughts. For example, there are a couple of things that really need to be fixed, not only in terms of user interface, also in terms of user experience. One section I don't like to use is the pages page. So the page where you define all your pages with title and so on and so forth. There are there is a menu where you can um, select which pages you want to see, pages from tables, from views, not installed tables. It's a bit confusing, and we would need a global a page where you can see globally how your menu will look like, and a tool that allows you to change the order of the pages in the menu very, very easily, like drag and dropping, something like that. But I'm still figuring out how to do it, because on one side I think it's correct to divide the pages in custom pages, pages coming from tables, because they have very different properties. On the other side, we need also a global view. So I don't know. Again, if you have suggestions, they are very welcome. And the other thing I think is not very clear if you are new to DaDaBIK is the difference between the data section and the form configurator. Because I mean, for us, for old users, since at the beginning, let me read the comment by Alan. The division is logical, but getting pages in the right order is a pain. Exactly, that's exactly what I feel when I use DaDaBIK. Probably, maybe a solution would be to have just one page with everything you have in the menu, and then when you click edit, you can choose what kind of pages is that, based on custom PHP page, custom HTML page, based on table, and so on and so forth. That's probably the solution. I also thought in the past about allowing you in the front end of the application to change the order of the menu items just by drag and drop. But even in that case, I'm not 100% sure is the right choice. So I still have to figure out the perfect, I mean, almost perfect solution. And the other thing is the division between data and the form configurator. So since at the very beginning, the data section didn't exist. So basically, you had to do everything from PHP MyAdmin or MySQL Workbench. You had to create your database with your tables, and then you configure the forms with DaDaBIK. Now you can do everything with DaDaBIK if you want. So at that point, I think that for a new user, is a bit illogical to create the table in a section and maybe declare the I don't know, one field as date time, and then in the form configurator you have another field type that, well, by default is again date time, but you can change it. I think that for someone who knows databases, relational databases, who knows about relational databases, this is clear. But for non-technical people, not very clear. But at the same time, again, even in this case, I'm not sure how to do, something in the middle, because, well, the perfect solution for new user would be to have everything in one page. So you create a table, and then for each field, you define also the DaDaBIK parameters. For advanced users, maybe this division is still fine. So again, even about that, if you have suggestions, please share those suggestions with me, because I keep everything into big consideration. Let me read the chat. Two suggestions for look and feel, not major things, but might help a little bit. More colorful theme options. Alan, are you talking about the front end user interface or the admin? Front end, okay. More colorful theme options, okay. That is pretty, easy to create other themes for the front end. And second one, menu section headers that don't have to be pages themselves. Oh, okay, I see. Um, all right. Yes, there is a there is a typo in the config file. You're right. Menu section headers that don't have to be pages, but you can already do that. I mean, you can you can add a container for several items. I don't know if the container that you can also collapse. I don't know if this is what you are looking for or it's something else. Okay. So that part is already available. And well, let me check if I have something else about that. Hmm. No. Well, I already started to do something. If you, well, at least I'm trying to make. Good evening, Edwin. I'm trying to make everything more clear and small, because I tend to, clarify everything. But I realize that sometimes the pages of the admin section are overwhelming for the user. Too much information, too many sections with information about everything. I should mm, add just the most important information, and then if you want to get additional information, I can add more pop-up windows, something like that. And I already started to do that in one of the online demo. There is a new online demo now, a blank demo that you can use to, you can create in the cloud your DaDaBIK application as a demo, create your tables. And I'm experimenting a little bit on that demo. So, well, let's see. If you are a user interface designer, or some very good user interface designer, please let's get in touch, and maybe you can suggest me someone, or maybe you are a good designer, and we can talk about working on DaDaBIK, at least maybe giving me some good advices, and we can see if we can collaborate. Okay. All right, that was for the the general layout, user interface thing. But now we have a lot of features to discuss here. I will, I will try. Of course, we cannot discuss everything here, because I don't know how many features we have here, but I see 6 pages, so that's a lot of features. Probably I'm going to discuss the first 7 or 8 suggestions. The very first one, the most popular one, is the many-to-many relationship with normalized schema. What does it mean? Because it looks like a very complex title. The thing is that very often I receive this question: how can I implement a many-to-many relationship in DaDaBIK? And the thing is that let me stop just a second. I am reading another suggestion. Master details PDF, very important. Okay, I know that. I know it's in the. I think it's in the forum already, so we will go through that if we have time. But I know it's an important feature. Many-to-many relationship. We don't have, in DaDaBIK a way to say, okay, this is a many-to-many relationship. DaDaBIK, do everything you need to do to handle this. No, we don't have that, but you can handle many-to-many relationship very easily. For example, let's say you have the classical situation: books, table authors, and it's a many-to-many relationship. A book can be written by more than one author. The same author can write many books. Okay, so the classical approach in database design is to create an additional table that maybe we can call books authors, having the ID of the book, the ID of the author, and maybe some additional field. For example, a field with the role. This is the first author, this is the second author, something like that. You can do that in DaDaBIK, and you can add this additional table in master detail to the books table. This works perfectly. However, it is not very user friendly. Users don't like to. They don't see as user friendly to have to open another table to add an additional author to a book. So typically, users expect to have a field, authors, and from that field, they can add all the authors of a book. You can do that in DaDaBIK, but without this normalized schema. You can do that by using a select multiple field type. Okay. Sorry, I have to drink water frequently when I speak. So sorry for the interruption. So this is the most user-friendly way, but the database, from the point of view of the database design, it is not a normalized schema, let's say. So for maybe it's not what you want. The idea of this suggestion was a combination of the two. So you have this, let's call it bridge table, but the user doesn't see the table. The user only sees the field author in the books table, and DaDaBIK, behind the scenes, does everything. This would be awesome, but it's very complicated. So I'm not sure if I will implement that because it requires a lot of coding. Uh, why? Because so far the DaDaBIK model is for each field you see in your form, you have a field in your table. But in this case, it wouldn't be true because you have a field in a form, authors, but you are storing the values, the data in another table, the bridge table. And this makes things a little bit complicated. But anyway, I will think again about that. Application export backup. This would be very useful, but again, it's another feature that I realize it's very difficult to implement. I mean, it requires time. It's not difficult, but it requires time because, well, I have a solution that is something in the middle here, like exporting only the DaDaBIK configuration, which means all your custom code, all your config parameters, all your settings in form configurators, permissions, these kind of things. This would be difficult, but not very not very difficult. Let's say, if instead you want to export everything, including the data, that would be another level of difficulty. So I mean, I don't know, your customers table, your products table, something like that. Because there isn't a standard way to do a backup. I remember long time ago, I looked into the phpMyAdmin code to see what they do for exporting, the classic MySQL dump. And I saw a lot of hard-coded things. This means that it's very easy to miss something. You have to be very careful with the different versions of MySQL, and above all, you have to do the work for which is different for all the DBMS supported by DaDaBIK. So maybe I'm going to do something again in the middle, exporting just the DaDaBIK tables and your custom code. Any suggestions about these points? Do you have any particular things that maybe I'm missing here? No? Okay. I think I have to solve to fix. I don't know if it is possible to do it to fix the latency. I think there is so much latency here. So when I ask a question, you hear, you listen, you hear the question like 10 or 15 seconds later, I would say. So next time I do some proper tests before to try to reduce this time. Alan would love to see this, but no, it's difficult. Yeah, it is. It is. I always have to, when I decide the roadmap, I always have this trade-off between how useful is, well, it's not a trade-off. It's just the fact that I have to evaluate the cost of in terms of coding investment of each feature respect to how useful it is for the DaDaBIK community. Because sometimes there are features that are very, very useful for a small fraction of the users. In that case, it's it's the typical case that I don't implement them unless those users sponsor the development of the features. I prefer to invest my time in something that could be useful for a lot of users, obviously. Then, as you can see, a lot of features are now, of the most requested, are now implemented. Add a search all fields. This is, I mean, this is under review because, the idea here is to have a search box close to the quick search form where you can just, in a single box, add some words, some terms, and you search in all the fields. It's what non-technical users expect very often. It is not difficult to implement. However, I'm still figuring out how to implement that. Global search, exactly. Because, technically, like formally, logically, I think what you type in the global search text box should be searched in all the fields you have in your advanced search form. I don't think it makes sense that from the global search you search also in other fields that you didn't set as searchable, right? However, I think it's difficult to explain this to the final user. For the final user, a global search is a global search. So it's difficult to communicate to the final user how this feature works. In addition to that, there are special fields like date fields where probably you don't want to search into using the global search. And again, that's another thing you have to tell the users probably. So I would say the explanation of how this feature works is too, again, too overwhelming for the final user. So these the kind of things that probably you can give me feedback about here, or you can just comment here the post here because maybe according to your experience maybe you have some valuable feedback to share. So global search. And then let's move on a little more quickly. One-click deployment. This would be very cool. This would be very, very cool. So I know, let me read here, Edwin, I know this feature from D375 customer engagement. Can you clarify a bit? So how the feature is implemented? And how it is, you can set the tables. Oh, okay. But maybe here you're thinking about something else. Global search in all the database. What I'm thinking is global search in a table in all the fields, which is a bit different. And I'm wondering in which fields to search and how to tell this to the users. But again, we can discuss. You can give me your feedback. It's very very welcome. One-click deployment from test to production. Here, the idea is well, as you know, now the deployment of a DaDaBIK application consists of taking your files, taking your DB, and copy everything uh, in the server you want to deploy, basically. The idea here is to have, well, typically maybe you have a development application and a production application. The idea here is to allow you from the test, let's say the development application, to sync to the production application. These two applications need to share a secret, like a password. And when you click deploy, you send, all your configuration, all your custom code to the production application. That would be awesome, I think. I mean, I would use a lot this feature. It's not an easy. I mean, all these first and most voted features are not very easy to implement, but I think that at some point I will do this. I'm not sure if for DaDaBIK 12 or for the first release of DaDaBIK 12 or later, but it's something that I should do. Then let me move on. Form HTML templates. Okay, this is something I really want to know your opinion about. Here, the idea is that you can design your forms. So exactly as you do for PDF templates, the idea here is to design your forms in HTML. So basically, you design your form, you put some placeholders with the name of the fields, and DaDaBIK create the forms according to your layout. Probably is not very difficult to implement. However, I'm not sure how useful it is, because as far as I've seen, when you DaDaBIK, the typical DaDaBIK use is for producing let's call them internal tools, okay? Tools that you can use, for example, admin tools, CRUD tools, tools you can use for workflow automations, something like that. For those kind of tools, people typically don't expect very fancy or strange interfaces. They expect classic forms with one field under the other. Well, you can already put more than one field in a row in DaDaBIK. You can have separators. You can do little things to customize your forms from the point of view of the layout. The creation of crazy forms with some graphics, some strange separators is not possible at the moment, but I'm not sure it could be useful. What do you think? What's your experience about that? because my experience is that uh, very often users, some users, at least, well, most of the users of that kind, the users of internal tools, sometimes they ask me, I see something that is as similar as possible to Excel. They want something like Excel, but with more features and, of course, online. So, so yes, as Edwin says, yeah, Excel, exactly. As Edwin says, probably it's not a priority. I mean, it's one of the most voted features here, but I'm not sure it's a priority. So probably this one won't be implemented. Instead, this one, it will be one of the first I will implement. Move config.php settings to database, or at least, well, not completely. So the initial idea was, okay, let's forget the config custom file. Let's move everything to the database. So from the admin section, you control all your config parameters. That was my starting idea. It is not possible though, because some of those configuration parameters are needed before DaDaBIK connects to the database. So technically, that would require a lot of changes. However, there are many things that I would move to the admin section. The very first one is everything related to the layout. I will do a layout page on the admin section where you can choose the logo, you can choose the color theme, you can add directly there the CSS, all these kind of things. Because I want, even for people that are just looking into DaDaBIK, they are not customers already. They look at the demo, and I think it's not easy to understand that a lot of things are hidden in a configuration file that you cannot modify from the demo. I would like to have a layout section with all these kind of things. I don't know if you agree. Edwin, okay, see you next time. Don't worry. Thanks for your participation. And yeah, so this at least partially will be absolutely implemented. Then what else? What else? I think we will be online for still 10 minutes, something like that. We started at 6:30 till 7:30. So let me briefly discuss these ones. And yes, full PDF generation. I know, and that is what Edwin was mentioning before. Right now, if you generate a PDF from a master detail page, you got just the master. It would be useful, of course, for example, typical case, an invoice, to have everything. Also not very easy because of how the PDF generation is implemented right now, but I know that this is useful. Barcode generation. This is probably not very difficult to implement if we just implement the generation of the barcode, which is what we probably need. Because the input, I mean, if you are building an application that uses barcode, probably you have forms with some fields, well, maybe one field for each form, um, potentially, that needs in input a barcode. But the actual input is a code, not a barcode. So what you store in your database is an alphanumeric code. The barcode is just a graphical representation of that alphanumeric code that you want to use because it's easy to read with scanners. All right. So probably if you have the classic scanner, you can easily add in your form. You can easily scan a barcode and as and have as input the corresponding alphanumeric code. The only thing we need to do in DaDaBIK is, for example, in the details page and in the results grid, to transform back the alphanumeric code into a barcode. Because maybe you need to print a label from your DaDaBIK application that you put onto a package or something like that. So that would be quite easy, I would say. But tell me if instead you are thinking about a different implementation of the barcode or QR code. Okay. Alan, yes, it makes sense. Config.php on the admin section. I think you are referring to that. It helps you have admins who don't have root access to your server. Exactly. That's also another point. You can have some developers, DaDaBIK developers, that don't need access to your server, because otherwise to edit the config custom file, they need access to the server. That's correct. Then help buttons for user form fields. Yes, this is a little request that is easy to implement. Basically, now we have tooltips, we have hints. The idea here was to have buttons with pop-up hints, basically. So if you need more text, okay, I would say this is something you can already implement using JavaScript buttons, but having something already built in would be useful. I don't remember this one. Let me read. Fix horizontal scroll bars. I think we already have this. In the config file, you can choose among 3 different settings for the grid. And one of them, I think it's exactly this one, but I'm not sure if I got exactly what this user means. So maybe if you can specify better here, but I think it's already implemented. So maybe if it is, I will change the label here. Yes, exactly. I think it's implemented too. Yes. So we still have 5 minutes. Maybe I can discuss this one, a book about DaDaBIK, as the very last. I would really love to write a book about DaDaBIK. It's something I'm thinking about since long time. I already have, I mean, not just about DaDaBIK, about even about low code, no code in general. I already have a title. Actually, I already have a draft of the index. I don't have the time to write it. Basically, I know it requires mm, a very huge amount of time. Um, but if I think about that in terms of an investment, the return on investment would be very poor. I mean, you cannot make money with a book unless it's a very popular book. So if I think about the amount of time I would need to write that book and the return on this investment, I would say, okay, this is not something I should do. But on the other side, it would be very rewarding for me personally to write a book about this topic, and I think it can help the DaDaBIK community to grow. So I'm still evaluating that. I mean, uh, um, I um, I mean, uh, for sure, I'm not sure I would I would find a publisher that is interested in that would be interested in publishing me, but that wouldn't be a problem because even if I don't find a publisher, I can go with self-publishing, for example, Amazon self-publishing. So mm, that wouldn't be a problem. The problem is really the amount of time. I want to share with you just a few ideas about the book. I mean, my idea about this book would be to have, well, of course, an introduction about the no code, low code world. And then, I mean, the core of the book would be guiding the reader through the development of a complex application from the beginning to the end using just DaDaBIK. Uh, First part, no code. Second part, low code. So you add some code to improve your application. And then you will have two separated parts. I mean, maybe at the end of the book or at the beginning, I don't know. The first one is, the bare minimum you should know about database design to create an application. The second one, the bare minimum you should know about PHP and JavaScript and SQL if you want to do some low coding. This would be my idea for the book. Maybe I can do something in the middle, like writing a short book, maybe based on some of the videos I'm publishing. But I know myself, I like to write, so I would really need to limit myself if I want to write a short book. Um, Alan asked how much time you spend on that. Yes, I also have to do something else, Alan, because I teach databases and data science in college. So I have my courses, I have my students to follow. So DaDaBIK is not my only my only job. And during the years, I had some other people working on DaDaBIK, in particular. One person who worked a lot on the user interface and on everything that is more on the JavaScript side of the DaDaBIK implementation, but I'm still the main developer of DaDaBIK. So yes, the book would be awesome. It would be nice to have a book about DaDaBIK, because it's a long project I started long time ago, and I think it would deserve a book. Uh, Maybe I can also think about co-write the book with some users. I know some users that are very, they are power users. They maybe sometimes they know uh, some aspects of DaDaBIK better than me in some cases. So that would be also an option, but I have to think about it. So it's more than 1 hour, so I would say we can stop here. There are other a lot of other features to discuss here, but I discussed the most popular ones. This tool, the feature suggestions tool, is very very powerful. Maybe um, maybe some users, especially new user, uh, underestimate this tool because they don't think their suggestions can have an impact on the development of the software. But the reality is that they have an impact. As I said, probably more than half of the features I've implemented came from this forum. The original forum, the new forum, the Canny forum. For 2 or 3 years, I also created some surveys that only some power users that I know almost personally, at least we exchanged a lot of emails, voted for. So I used a lot of tools to understand what you think, what you really need with DaDaBIK. Right now, the only tool is this one. So please use it. Please use it. Alan, I help write the infrastructure bits of the books of the book. Thank you, Alan. I will take your offer in serious consideration. Thanks a lot. And yes, I think it's time to, maybe have dinner in a while. And so thanks for everybody who was here, and this video will be then available in our YouTube channel. So if you want, you can watch it later. Okay. So see you for the next video or the next live. Bye bye. Ciao.